So our first presenter is going to be Nate Robson from Raining Rose, based in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Started in 1996 in a family kitchen, but has grown to be an excellent supplier here at AIM, doing wonderful things, including a lot of organic work, which no doubt Nate will tell us a lot about. So Nate, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Excellent. So Nate, I'm going to make you the presenter. The screen is yours, Nick. Sorry, Nate. The screen is yours, Nate. The audience is yours, Nate. Please take it away.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the introduction. You definitely have done your research there, which is awesome. I'm going to get my PowerPoint pulled up here. There we go. It should be full screen for you now, and we'll jump right into it because I know we got limited amount of time. But I'll quickly go through the agenda for today. We're going to first do a brief little introduction and couple that with a virtual tour. So I'm going to pull up a video and give everybody here an inside look at our operation, which is always kind of fun to see how things are made. And then we'll jump down to some macro trends that I'm seeing out there in the consumer world that I think is creating some opportunities in particular for our products, but opportunities for you as distributors. And then we'll get a little bit more granular talking about some of our top sellers, their selling attributes, and focusing in on a deeper dive into end user markets where we're seeing a lot of success, and sharing with you some of those programs and why those programs are successful in those areas. So without further ado, we'll jump right into it. Formally, to introduce myself again, my name is Nate Robson. I'm the Director of Business Development with Raining Rose. I've been with the company for a little over 8.5 years, and most days I still feel like a rookie, learning something new every day in this wild and crazy industry. Here's a shot of our team and a little bit of our facility here in Iowa. We're a very passionate group. We work hard. We play hard. I know that's kind of cliche, but it kind of captures the culture that we have here. We're very entrepreneurial and have a incredible spirit to our organization. And I want to jump in and give you some insight into the organization by sharing with you this video here. And I'll talk through this video as we go through it. But I think it does give you a good sense of who we are and what we do. A lot of folks make the misperception that we are a small company because of our narrowly focused line and the amount of products that we actually offer. That couldn't be farther from the truth. We're actually one of the largest lip balm manufacturers in the country. And what I'm doing is pulling back the curtain here and showing you some of these custom filling machines that we've got. And it's really just to give you a sense or an idea of the level of automation and robotics that we use in our filling process. Our facility actually has the capability to kick out over 750,000 units a day if we dedicated everything to stick filling. That's a lot of lip balms and could provide a lot for those around the world. But we do leverage this automation. It helps us bring these products to you in a cost-competitive way that really is unmatched in the industry. We've got a variety of filling techniques in our operation that stretch far beyond the cosmetics we focus on in the promotional products industry, but know that we have those capabilities. Here's a shot of our 127,000 square foot facility. Notice how well lit it is, how bright it is, how clean it is. That's very intentional. We wanted, one, to create a great environment for our folks to work in from a production standpoint, but we also have to be run like a food grade facility because of the products that we're dealing with. There's a shot of the outside of the building. It's very colorful. Again, it captures the personality of our organization. Very progressive for the Midwest. People think we're the Google of the Midwest. All we do is take naps at work. That's not the case, but it certainly does capture our personality a bit. One of the reasons people seek us out as a manufacturer is because we are one of the few USDA certified organic manufacturers out there domestically. We're also a LEED certified building, and we're also a certified B Corporation, which I'll dive into a little bit later in the presentation here. But it's basically holding companies to a higher standard when it comes to their social, environmental accountability and performance. This is a shot of our R&D lab. We do a lot of product innovation, product creation. We also do a lot of our own testing when it comes to cosmetics and OTCs. This gives us full control over the process and allows us to meet even your most unique customer requests or demands. Here's a crazy stat. We are one of the world's largest consumers of organic beeswax. We consume over 250 tons of it just last year. And if you're a cook, you're probably very familiar with organic olive oil. Well, we will go through over 2,000 to 4,000 pounds of organic olive oil on a typical manufacturing day. So it truly is large-scale manufacturing. We also print all of our labels in-house. We have our own 6900 press. It's the only one in the state of Iowa, I believe, and there's only 60 in the world right now operational, but it gives us capacity and capabilities from a label production standpoint that really is unmatched. We also can do direct print. This is a 4-color direct print process, gives us another decorating method for various products that call for that type of method. From a manufacturing standpoint, we can do things that other manufacturers can't. And what's being shown on the screen are some claims that a lot of folks like to get in the cosmetic space. This might not be so relevant in the promotional products world, but I think what is whenever you're dealing with personal care or cosmetics, if you're putting it in your body or on your body, generally people want to know where it's coming from. And I think it's a differentiator for us, the fact that we manufacture right here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And that is a selling point, I believe, when it comes to these types of products. Now, our promotional demand, as I switch back over here, that's the video. We'll get back to the PowerPoint here. But our promotional demand doesn't warrant an operation that size. We're 300 plus employees here. Everybody's based out of Cedar Rapids operationally, and we operate out of one building currently. But the promotional demand is a small section of what we do. We're also a contract manufacturer. So we produce for several high-end, well-known brands out there that you certainly would be familiar with and probably use on a regular basis. Now, I can't tell you who we produce for and who we don't, or what we produce and what we don't, but what I can share with you is that the same formulators, the same chemists, the same finest natural organic ingredients are going into our promotional products. So you are literally getting retail quality cosmetic products when you partner with us. And I think that's important because the quality of the product drives that reorder business when it comes to these types of items. And our products are, for example, our premium lip balm line is going to be comparable to your EOS, Burt's Bees, Nivea, Veda type quality from a function and performance standpoint. Yet we also have an economy line that is a petroleum base that's going to function, perform more like your Blistex and Chapstick, and it's going to be your 30-cent lip balm that's going to compete with any product or any company in this industry from a price standpoint. And the reason we can bring retail products to you at competitive pricing is because of our economy of scale. And so it's the best of both worlds there. All right, so that is us in a nutshell. Now, jumping ahead and getting into some of the other major topics that I wanted to chat about today, and that is covering on some macro trends that I'm seeing out there that are having impact on our particular products, but also might be creating some opportunity for you. Those trends we're going to go through here, and let me get back into presentation mode. Those trends that I'm going to go through are, one, natural, organic, and clean. We're going to talk about what that means and why that's trending. We'll get into some trends with companies with a cause. I'm going to shed some light on what's going on in the sunscreen space right now, and then talk a little bit about USA Made and compliance. All right, getting into natural, organic, and clean. Now, this is an area of growth specifically as it pertains to cosmetics because people are demanding more transparency. And again, getting back to that statement I said earlier, if you're putting it in your body or on your body, you generally want to know that it's good stuff. You want to know where it comes from. And this is driving an increased demand for natural, organic, and clean. One of the terms you'll start hearing more and more of when it comes to this space is clean beauty. So it's not necessarily delineating between natural and synthetic materials, but rather clean materials. Not all synthetic materials are bad. And so you'll start to see a rise of clean beauty coming on the market scene. And you're seeing a shift, and you're seeing major brands recognize this in the consumer base, and they're taking actions that are positioning themselves better to serve that customer base. CVS, for example, just announced by the end of 2019, they're going to reformulate over 600 of their internal brands to remove parabens and other harmful ingredients and revamp all of those. Similarly, you have Johnson & Johnson and Unilever, major brands that are moving toward listing out with more transparency ingredients on all their cosmetic products. Now, this isn't a requirement yet, but it's them taking a proactive step in terms of providing that transparency because they recognize that consumer base wants it. In terms of market size, right now the cosmetic clean and natural organic cosmetic market domestically is valued at right around $16.5 billion. That's a huge marketplace, or excuse me, $11.5 billion. It's going to grow by 2025 to $23.6 billion, so nearly double in less than 7 years, which is pretty impressive, but that's what the analysts believe. So what's the so what of this to you? Well, the so what is our products are perfectly positioned to capture this movement, this consumer demand and increased interest, and that ultimately will feed over into the promotional product space. As they look to utilize personal care items to promote, they're going to want these natural, clean, organic attributes to those products that they decide to go with. So being able to market this in your sales materials, your sales collateral, speak to it, I think could be leveraged as a differentiator for you when you're in a competitive situation and somebody's talking about this particular category. The second trend I want to jump into is companies with a cause. There's no doubt that there's been a movement both globally and within our industry with consumers wanting to align themselves with companies that stand more for just the products or services they provide, but have a bigger purpose. And we're seeing this all over the place, where we tend to, and this is generally being led primarily by the millennials and Gen Z. Now, those demographics are entering into the space where they will soon become the primary purchasers, both in the B2B and consumer realm. And so it's important you take notice, and companies are taking notice. And one of the ways in which we can help with this trend or be part of the solution for you is that we are a certified B Corporation, as I mentioned, and that is really a global movement. So when we got our certification, we were about the 800th company, and now it's close to 3,000 companies worldwide that have the certification. And the companies that you might recognize that or be more familiar with that have pursued this is companies like Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, Kickstarter. These are companies that are certified B Corp companies, and really they're making a commitment to balance profit with purpose, and they're holding themselves higher to a higher standard when it comes to social and environmental performance. Really, that's unmatched, and it's bringing transparency to corporate responsibility, and it's bringing certainty to those buyers who want to align themselves with companies that they know are doing things in a good way, in the right way, and helping advance communities and the globe and the environment altogether. We're even seeing remnants of this movement specifically in our industry. And if you haven't heard of Promo Cares, I would encourage you to go check it out. They have their own website, they have a Facebook following, and this continues to grow, but it's a collection of suppliers and distributors together, utilizing that as a platform to basically scream from the mountaintops the good works that we're doing in this industry for communities, the volunteerism that we're doing, the give back programs that are taking place. And this is a great movement. We definitely support it, and I think it's good not only for communities, it's good for the industry, it's good for the globe at large, but this is an important thing to pay attention to. The other reason this is taking place is because the consumers are demanding it. The new buyers are looking for this. Again, they want to align themselves with companies that stand for more than just the products or services that they sell. And so, again, the so what of this is that our story can become your story when it comes to these product lines, and potentially that might be the differentiator when you're in a competitive situation and you're dealing with a buyer who values or shares these same principles. So as you look down your supply chain and you're looking at who to leverage or who to use, this could be another differentiator when you partner with us to say, and we partner with a responsible source, B Corp, here's what it means, here's what it stands for, and here's what they do. And that can be a differentiator for you in a very competitive space. The third trend I'm going to talk about here that I'm seeing is shedding some light on sunscreens. For those who have paid attention to this at all, sunscreen has come under a lot of scrutiny lately. And a couple of years ago, Hawaii just put a ban in place that banned all sunscreens that contain oxybenzone and octinoxate. Why did they put this ban in place? Well, they felt there was enough research to suggest that those two ingredients were contributing to the depletion of the coral reefs. Now, there's a lot of other contributing factors that are depleting the coral reefs, primarily the raising water temperatures in the ocean. But it was enough that they felt like they needed to put this ban in place. Others have followed suit. Mexico did the same thing. The Florida Keys have done the same thing. And I think you're going to start to see this trend continue with all the coastal states. And so what that's going to lead to is a demand for a product that really doesn't exist out there in the masses, which is mineral-based sun products. And the reason it doesn't exist is because oxybenzone and octinoxate are in over 98% of all the sun care products that are currently out there in the retail space. And so that's why this is such a major deal. You're going to have a lot of people scrambling to go out and produce these natural mineral options. I'll get to that a little bit more later. The second thing to pay attention to is the UVA and skin damage. A lot of consumers are just unaware of how this works, and that they think the SPF factor, the higher that factor, the more protection that they're getting. Well, the SPF factor in a product is only an indicator on how it's protecting against UVB rays, and those are the rays that actually turn you red and create blisters and burn you. It is not a list of protection against UVA rays, which are the rays that actually cause skin cancer, early skin aging, and wrinkling. And so this is the misnomer. And so what you need to look for when you're looking at UVA protection is this term called broad spectrum. Broad spectrum is really the label where that product has met the minimum threshold to give you sufficient protection against the cancer-causing rays. And that's something to look for. Now, in the retail space, everything you see out there is going to be broad spectrum by now. But in the promotional space, you're going to want to be mindful because not everything. I've seen it out there. There's a lot of sun product out there claiming UVA, UVB protection that isn't broad spectrum rated. All of our products that contain sun protection are broad spectrum rated, so you can be assured for that. But the other thing that you're going to see is a rise in mineral products. Why? Because just this year, the FDA put all the chemical packages and that have historically been used to provide sun protection and taking them off of the GRAS list. Now, the GRAS list stands for generally recognized as safe and effective. And the reason they've done that is because there's an uneasy correlation they're seeing in the fact that there's been an increase in sunscreen usage, but there's also continues to be an increase in skin cancer. In fact, the CDC just reported that 1 in 5 of us over the course of our lifetime are going to come down with some form of skin cancer. That's not great. And so we've got to be careful of that. But the so what of this is that we've been formulating for the last 3 years a mineral-based product, and the only 2 ingredients that are sun blockers left on the GRAS list are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. And we've used a zinc oxide product. Now, a lot of people, when they think of zinc, they think of that 80s lifeguard with the white nose, and that is correct. These mineral products, the characteristics of those is they go on heavier, they're tackier, and they go on white, and that's a struggle for mass consumption because a lot of people don't want that. Well, our formula that is a retail product is we've been formulating and working with it for years. It does go on much more like a conventional sunscreen. It is going to be a little whiter, a little heavier, but it's a lot closer to a conventional sunscreen than other products out there. So the so what of that is just being mindful of that trend, understanding sunscreen, and it can help differentiate you when when somebody's looking at that type of product. The final trend that we're talking about here is USA Made. USA Made, there's an increased desire, this through tariff laws and everything else, to want USA Made product, especially in the cosmetic space. Again, you're putting in your body, on your body, people want USA Made. And there's been an increased need for transparency with regard to compliance. Do you have all the documentation? Do you have all the testing? Do you have all this done? So when you're dealing with OTCs, over-the-counter drugs, which sunscreens are considered, or cosmetics, you want to make sure you're partnering with somebody that has all their ducks in a row on this, because there's more and more people calling to provide this documentation to ensure it's safe and effective. All right, jumping into top sellers here real quick. So those are the big trends I'm seeing. Here are our top sellers by category. A lot of these are retail oriented, and I don't think that's by accident. I think we're seeing an increased desire in our space to want retail-like products. So our top in the lip balm category are our premium lip balm, as well as the EOS and the hand sanitizer. It's the gel pocket bottle, which looks like the Bath & Body Works hand sanitizer, along with our traditional pens. And in the sunscreen, it's mineral. And I think, again, that's getting back to this change in consumer demand and education. We've also added chrome labels and matte labels. This is a capability that, again, I spoke to with our new printer that gives us the ability to create much more of a retail look and finish. You certainly want to check that out if you have interest and get a sample of it. Having it in your hands, you can really tell the difference. I'm going to breeze through the selling attributes here because I know I'm running short on time, and I want to jump right to top programs and what's trending in these programs to give you something to walk away with in hopes that, you feel like you can take this information, go apply it tomorrow, and create some opportunity. We'll start with healthcare. This is one of our top end user spaces, and I've identified 3 trends, and maybe what we'll do is we won't go through all of them, but one trend that I'm seeing going on in the healthcare space or hospital space right now is that there's been a change in terms of how Medicare and Medicaid have reimbursed hospitals. And it used to be volume-based reimbursement. Now it's value-based reimbursement. And so the difference that you need to know there is that going forward, there's a formula that's going to dictate what percentage they're going to get reimbursement for their services. That formula is going to include now patient satisfaction scores, readmittance rates, on-site contracted diseases. And so hospitals now are scrambling, for one, to make sure that they're performing well with those metrics, patient satisfaction being one of them. And I guarantee if you've had any health services done in the last 6 months, you probably got a text message, an email, and something sent in the mail for sure to fill out your feedback form. This is because they need to provide and build that pool. They also need to increase the level of satisfaction to make sure they're getting that reimbursement up. This creates huge opportunity for you to come in with promotional products to creatively get more and more patients to leave not only their feedback, but leave positive feedback. And there's a lot of applications we've gone through where they've utilized our product to do so because of its low cost, and it can be done in the masses, but it also is perceived as high value and can drive that patient satisfaction up. The rebranding, the mergers and acquisitions in this space are happening at record paces, and the reason is hospitals are struggling to be profitable because the services that used to be performed under their umbrella are now being performed in other organizations out there, like home health care, urgent care, ambulatory care, whatever. So they're left with a decision. They either have to cut staff and cut departments, or they go out and they buy. They're buying those back up to put them in their network to bring that revenue back. And this creates all sorts of rebranding opportunities. So that urgent care that sits on the corner now it's instead of Iowa Health Systems, it's Unity Point Health Systems. So now I need to rebrand that. How do I do that to that region that is only within about 10 or 20 minute driving range, specifically target that and make sure I get that rebranding out there so they know that now I'm in their preferred network, so on and so forth. Community outreach is the last one, and that is most in healthcare right now are dedicating more and more resources towards reaching out to the community. And the reason is their research suggests that if I can establish a relationship with you in a non-emergency situation, you are 70% more likely to use me in an emergency situation. So they're getting very creative with that. Marketing is getting a lot of funding towards this to get out in the community and do things like cooking classes, parenting courses, participating in the events, doing a lot of community outreach sort of things. And our items tend to work great in those programs because, again, the price point, the perceived value, and the staying power that they have. For example, your typical lip balm will last from 3 to 12 months. It'll be in their purse or their pocket, and they'll use it 2 to 10 times a day. So you get a lot of impressions for your dollar when you think of it that way. I am running over my time, I believe, so I will save the education. Tried to talk through that as fast as I could. I'll save the education for another time. Should anybody want to follow up and get more of these ideas or dive a little bit deeper or longer on any particular one, I'll certainly make myself available. But I certainly don't want to impose on Tom's time here. So I will go ahead and wrap it up, Kevin. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them now or answer them offline. I'm not sure what's the best course of action there.
Sure, we have a minute still. Nate Robson, that was fantastic. That was an excellent presentation. Taught me a lot there too. And I think your point, I actually was really interested to hear about the education piece of it too, because the points you brought out about healthcare, and you're totally right. You are getting all this feedback information. You want, or the hospitals are asking for feedback. What an excellent opportunity to also be involved in that for our distributors and the mergers and that piece of it too. So really informative. Thank you very much, Nate.
You bet.
Folks, do you have any questions? Go ahead. Now would be the time. Well, okay, so, someone does really want to know about the education. So Teresa's asking this. So in terms of alumni and donor programs, what do you recommend, Nate?
Well, what's going on in alumni and donor programs right now that I'm seeing is they're losing touch with that who's entering into the working space right now and becoming decent earners. So this is that, that 30 to 40 to 45-year-old, and they're having a tough time connecting with them and making sure they're giving back to their institution. So when you think of alumni and donor programs, generally you're thinking of the high-end gifting that you see or high-end events that you put on to solicit a lot of those dollars. Where I'm seeing a lot of institutions put more focus is how do we get that every day? How do we get that everyday small incremental giving and funding for a lot of the things we need to do as an institution? And a lot of it comes down to software. I mean, think of the dynamics of this. If you ask me, I'm a 38-year-old here, if you come to me and you say, hey, I'd like you to support our institution, why don't you go ahead, fill out a check and support this cause? I'm not going to do it if I need to go to my checkbook, write it out, find an envelope, put a stamp on it, get it to the mailbox and send it in. That's just not going to happen. Now, I'm much more likely to do it if I can just press a donate now button that's online. So a lot of these organizations are moving to digital options to remove those barriers to actually donating and get it at a much higher frequent pace. And one of the applications I've seen there is using small cost items, value-based items like lip balms, like consumables that people interact with that can drive them to that digital interface. So now I've got a very much higher likelihood of getting that 30-year-old to 45-year-old to take the physical piece, connect it to the digital by putting a URL code or whatever, encouraging them to go out there, look at the new fundraising cause that we have, and then go out, hit that donate now and be done with it and get credit for it. So that's one of those programs that I'm seeing on the rise, and a lot of the applications we put together around that are based in that arena, is trying to increase that donor base with that segment and getting them to get out there on the digital, get the visibility, and connect them through the physical products that we use.
Great. Hey, Nate, you also mentioned about some of the clean beauty that you talked about earlier. So if this is a trend that's coming, that is growing, how do AIM distributors get ahead of that curve?
I think you partner with the right suppliers. What we traditionally see is what happens in the consumer world generally bleeds over into the promotional products world. So as things get hotter, things trend, it then generally becomes a demand in the promotional product space. So making sure that you're partnering with the right suppliers who understand it. And when it comes to clean beauty, that's not easy stuff to do. And so unless it is your business, it is your core, it is your expertise, you're not going to find a lot of people. There's 152 different suppliers out there in our industry that can provide you with lip balm. And there's only a handful that actually make it, and even less where it is their sole focus in terms of beauty and cosmetics. And so it's only those select few that are going to really, truly be able to provide you what you need from a product quality standpoint, from a documentation standpoint, and help you with what's trending. And so I would say my advice would be make sure you're partnering with the right providers if you're looking to tap into the clean beauty trend, because they can help educate you and make sure you have the right products at your disposal.
Excellent. And why not try self-promos? 10% off EQP is what Raining Rose has. Hey, Nate, thank you so much for the time. Thank you so much for the education. We really do appreciate it.
You bet. My pleasure. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we'll move right along next to Maple Ridge Farms. Tom Royden is here with us, joining us from Wisconsin, I believe. Tom, can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks, Kevin.
Excellent. How you doing?
Good.
I'm going to good. I'm going to make you the presenter. So you should have the screen here in just 1 second. And then Tom Royden from Maple Ridge Farms, please, Tom, take it away.
Is it showing? You got it? The screen? Okay. Good afternoon. Today, our program is called Food Gift Marketing 101. And when we founded Maple Ridge Farms 40 years ago, we had no idea what an appetite businesses had for food gifts. But we found out quickly, with only one product to sell, which you can see right here, cheese packed in a wooden box, we went door to door in Wausau, Wisconsin, and within 2 weeks, in 1979, sold $24,000 worth of these boxes of cheese to local businesses. And a year later, we wrote $48,000 in 3 weeks. It didn't take us long to figure out we were onto something. Now, since business gifts are our only business, we're able to give them our total attention. They're not a sideline for us like they are for so many other giant food gift companies. And we only sell through distributors. We don't have a mail order division, and your customers can't purchase our gifts on our website. Now, in today's program, what I'd like to show you is why holiday food gift programs are easy to sell, who your best prospects are, and finally some tips on how to make a great food gift presentation. According to Packaged Facts, the leading market research company for the packaged food industry, corporate purchases of consumables, that would be like food gifts, for gift giving reached a new record last year of $7.2 billion. Now, to put that in perspective, for every $10,000 clients spend on promotional products, they are likely to be spending another $2,500 on food gifts, but maybe not with you. Now, before we get started, and then we'll have 2 other points here. Of the people in the survey, 43% said they wanted aesthetically pleasing gifts, and 56% said the quality was their most important attribute of all. Well, those are 2 things that are very true about Maple Ridge Farms. Now, before we get started, we want to make you aware of a couple webinar exclusive offers, and this is only for webinar attendees. The first is 50% off for self-promo through September 13th. Now, I'll send you all the details I'll send them to Kevin after we're done, and he can forward them to you. But you have to order by September 13th, catalog minimum, has to have your imprint, and it can ship as late as December 2nd. The second one is a 20% discount for early orders. Any order you can send us by September 15th, you can take 20% off. And again, it can ship as late as December 2nd. So those are that's a pretty good incentive to get your customers to order early. Then the other thing I want to talk about is a self-promotion program we have called Taste of Success. And very simply, we will send a box that looks like one of these 2 with your logo on it to 20 of your clients or more for $7.95 delivered. We'll either put roasted salted cashews, honey roasted cashews, or Jelly Belly brand jelly beans in it. We enclose what's called a lookbook that shows a variety of other products that they can purchase from you, other food gifts they can purchase from you. We put your business card in there, and we also we're going to put your return address on the package that we ship it in. So it's a super good thing for building more business. We'll send you an order form and all the details, or we'll send it to Kevin, he'll send it to you. But if you want to take advantage of this, you have to send us your logo, your business cards, and your mailing list by September 13th. But it's a super program. Distributors have used it for years. You ought to take advantage of it. Okay, let's start with why food gift programs are so easy to sell. Well, they're easy to sell because it's what people buy. According to American Express, half of all business gifts purchased for the holidays are food gifts. That's a huge number. That's what makes them easy to sell. And Nation's Business Magazine says food gifts are the best business gifts for the holidays because they're something that everyone can enjoy and they're not too expensive. If you look at this chart from Counselor's survey, 61% of food gift buyers ranked food as the #1 business gift for the holidays. So the reason food gifts are easy to sell is this is what people buy. It's always easier to sell what people buy. Now, there's a lot of good reasons why businesses purchase food gifts. So let's talk about those. One more benefit before we talk about those. The average food gift order is $2,200 on a C. Our repeat factor year in and year out is over 62%, and a lot of distributors do better than that. So, why do so many companies purchase food gifts? Well, food gifts are fun. It's just simply fun to get a gift, something you wouldn't normally go out and buy for yourself. Food gifts are easy. You don't have to worry about whether somebody already has one, whether they'll use it. Nobody ever gets too much gourmet food. Food gifts are shareable. 40 years ago, when we got into this business, the standard practice was to send gifts to individuals. Now, over the last 20 years, we've seen a major shift where more and more companies are buying larger gifts to be shared by everyone in the office. It's more cost effective to buy a larger gift for everybody, and it'll generate goodwill with everyone in the office. After all, you never really know who the decision makers are. Take a look at this slide. This shows you the biggest buyers of Maple Ridge Farms food gift programs, and it starts with banks, financial services, technology, insurance agencies, construction, and so on. You've probably got a lot of clients in those businesses. So within these companies, who do you call on? Who actually places the order? Well, in larger companies, customer gifts are usually purchased by the VP of sales or marketing or one of their assistants. And employee gifts are usually purchased by the director of human relations. Now, in smaller companies, it's usually the owner, the president, or the assistant who purchases both gifts. When are orders placed? Take a look at this graph. If you look at this, you will see that the decision made for holiday food gifts, the biggest month is October, followed by November. So what this means is you need to start your marketing efforts right now. So what makes it, knowing what makes what's important to food gift buyers is going to help you sell to them. So here's what we did. We hired a market research firm to interview dozens of business gift buyers. Let's see what they said. Number one, convenience. The number one factor they felt in a food to gift program was convenience. They didn't want to waste a lot of time and money sending employees out to retail stores or having them look around the internet. If they knew that they could buy their food gifts from their promotional products distributor, they would do so. The problem is, of all the people that our market research company interviewed, only one knew that they could buy food gifts from their promotional products distributor. Value makes sense. People want to get their money's worth. So our volume purchasing in the absence of a lot of middlemen allows your clients to purchase quality gifts from you for less than they'd have to pay at a retail store. Quality. The recipients of gifts really appreciate quality. So the buyers want the recipients to get a real high quality gift. They don't want their gifts to look like they came from a discount store. That could damage their image. And by the way, your clients will be happy to know that our facility is regulated and subject to inspection by the FDA. And that's the gold standard in food safety. This is one of my favorites. Buyers do not want promotional literature or catalogs in their gifts. Take a look at this slide. Here's a gift I received from a business associate. It includes 2 discount coupons and a catalog. It's a perfect example of a food gift company using their customers' gifts to promote their own company. Buyers hate it, they paid for the gifts, and they resent them being used to promote the food gift company. Well, at Maple Ridge Farms, we will never put our catalog or promotional literature in your clients' gifts. Multiple delivery options. This is pretty important. I'll explain why. They want to be able to have their gifts either delivered to them, to their branch offices, or directly to recipients. We can do this. We'll even enclose their greeting or business card. Now, most clients are not aware that you offer individual shipments directly to recipients. This is a really big deal. Finally, risk-free purchasing. They don't want to take a chance with their holiday gift program. It's too important. At Maple Ridge Farms, we offer a 100% money-back guarantee. It makes clients feel comfortable when placing their food gift order with you. Now, in addition to the points you looked at, there are many more good reasons why clients would purchase food gifts from you. When I started Maple Ridge Farms, it didn't take me long to discover that I was onto something, that I had a number of unique selling propositions. You also bring these to the table. And the first was branding. Remember that old wooden box we looked at in the beginning? We offered to imprint their logo on the cover of the wooden box that contained the cheese. Buyers had never seen that before, and they were surprised and thrilled with it. So, that's a real big deal. Today, it seems like everyone's into brand building. So reminding your clients that the gifts you offer have their logo on them and that they'll help promote their company and build their brand is very significant. Now, many of our gifts include a durable item like a cutting board, like you see here, a wooden box or a desk accessory or a wooden truck that are going to generate goodwill for your client long after the food's been enjoyed. Now, take a look at these gifts here from the giant food gift companies. They don't have your client's logo on them. No, they're slathered with their logo. Godiva on everything. Godiva on the ribbon, on the box, on this tag. Mrs. Fields. You think they can get that logo any bigger on there? So, you have to ask your client, do they really want to spend their money to promote the food gift company's brand, like you see here, or would they rather promote their brand like we can do right here? Well, the answer is yes, but if you don't help them recognize the difference, they're not going to make that connection. Take a look at this comparison chart. This is really telling. The bottom line is this: you have a very competitive position in the marketplace. You offer convenient personal service, fresh packed-to-order gifts, imprinted gifts, custom packages, individual shipment, card enclosure, and a 100% money-back guarantee. Your competition out there really doesn't stack up very well, but they've got one thing you don't have, and that's this massive marketing prowess. Because the food gift companies spend millions of dollars in advertising and mailing catalogs every other week to your clients, the vast majority of business gift buyers know that they can buy their food gifts from Harry and David, Hickory Farm, Sam's Club, Costco, Mrs. Fields, and the rest. Very few recognize that they can buy their food gifts from their promotional products distributor. This is the one that they have, they're beating us on. Now, selling food gift programs is not exactly rocket science. When clients discover that you can handle their food gift program, they're more than happy to turn it over to you. There are a few inherent challenges, though. Number one, you're typecast, just like we talked about. Customers think of you for promotional products, not for food. They think about Harry and David, Mrs. Fields, and all the rest. You have to be proactive and break that. Seasonality, because almost all food gifts are given in the fourth quarter, you have to start fresh with your marketing and sales efforts at this time every year. And samples, while they're really, really important, require careful handling, pretty much through the end of October. So what can you do to develop your food gift business starting today? Here's some quick tips. Call or email every one of your clients. Ask if they or anyone else in their company buys food gifts, and explain to them that you can provide them with a more cost-effective program than they would get from retail or mail order companies. And then we're going to have you order some samples too. Here's a picture of our website. There are so many great marketing tools on our website. I want you to go there and just play around with it. And if you're on it and you've got questions, pick up the phone, call our customer service team, and they will be happy to walk you through and show you all the great stuff that's on there. There is a great, one of my favorite things is if you're looking at an item on our website and you want to send a flyer on it to your customer, you can just type in their email address, your email address, a little message, and send them a flyer, and they get something like this attached to a personal email from you. Don Edwards, who was chairman of the board of PPAI, and he's in the Hall of Fame, he used to say, use my 3-foot marketing plan. Whenever I'm within 3 feet of a client, I explain to them that I am their #1 source for food gift programs. So, samples generate enthusiasm. I mean, you know, we all like to use virtuals because they're so easy. We can just email them around, but nothing generates enthusiasm like a sample that somebody can taste. So let's look at your sampling options. First of all, from now through the end of October, 50% off EQP for spec samples. We'll even ship the sample directly to your client and put in a personal card from you. Now we do the same thing with random samples. You know, sometimes you don't have time to get a spec sample, so we can do the same thing with a random sample. I had an email from somebody yesterday. He wanted spec samples in Alabama on Friday, and you know, it wasn't going to happen. So we sent him random samples yesterday. They'll be there Friday, and we're doing virtual specs that he can use for his presentation. Tasting samples are great. We do these tasting sample kits. There's a chocolate kit, the individually wrapped kit, and a nut lovers kit. Now the way you use these is, you know, when you call and ask somebody for an appointment nowadays, sometimes it's hard to get an appointment. Call and don't ask for an appointment. Tell them you want to do a tasting event at their office, a tasting session, and they can invite some fellow employees. You go over there after you've done the tasting event. All of those fellow employees are going to be lobbying for you to get the holiday gift order. So a couple points that we want to just hit you with before we end up. Schedule your presentations just before lunch or just before supper when your clients are the hungriest. Make sure to bring samples like we talked about. What you can do is it's going to increase their enthusiasm, and it confirms your claim that you're selling high quality product. Ask about budget and price points before suggesting gifts. If they're looking for $100 gifts, you don't want to waste your time showing them $10 gifts, and vice versa. Query them about last year's program. Did they have any problems? If they had problems with last year with another vendor, you want to help them remember them. And don't forget to discuss individual shipment directly to recipients. In your presentations, you want to educate the customers about the benefits of buying from you. Go back to what we looked at earlier. More convenient, exceptional quality, gifts are packed to order, individual shipment again. You're going to develop a turnkey program for them rather than just selling them a bunch of gifts. And you'll help them promote their company and their brand because every gift has their logo on it. Every Maple Ridge Gifts provides 5 wows: when it's received, when it's opened, when they discover the quality, when they savor each piece, and when they share it with coworkers or family members. So to wrap it all up, approximately half of all businesses in the United States purchase food gifts for the holidays. Yeah, that's just too big a market to pass up. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make every one of your customers aware that you are their #1 source for food gift programs. If you do that, you're going to write a lot of business. Kevin, that's pretty much it for me.
And that was excellent. Hey, thank you so very much, Tom. And there's the whole sales team there. That was wonderful. Really insightful stuff. Every question I had, you then immediately went and answered it with your next slide. So that was really informative. And actually, the feedback here is great. And to Ronnie's question there, yes, this webinar will be posted later, so we'll certainly be able to share this with AIM members and their staff too. So let's answer a few questions. And again, folks, type those questions in. Anything you're curious about. We have a few more minutes, Tom. We'll start at the top here. Teresa was asking about the taste of success. Does that include chocolate as well?
Unfortunately, it doesn't, because we ship these by first-class mail. Well, it wouldn't make any difference. We need to ship these in like September, when people are just starting to get interested. And chocolate's going to melt. So it's crazy. Our top 4 selling items in our product line are chocolate, but we can't sample that in that Taste of Success program because it would melt, and that wouldn't do you any good. We did one year run the Taste of Success program in February when we were able to ship chocolate, but it's awfully far away from the holiday season, and hoping they'll remember is a challenge. So unfortunately, no.
Makes sense. Do you do liquor-based chocolate?
We have Prosecco flavored gummy bears. We have Prosecco cordials. We have bourbon cordials, and we have bourbon caramels. None of them contain any alcohol, which is actually a good thing, but they're pretty delicious.
Excellent. Gotcha. Now, maybe just to reiterate that point. So we talk about fourth quarter. It's the biggest time. You made that clear. So when does AIM distributors really need to be hitting it hard for
now.
Fourth quarter in terms of what you're doing here?
Right now, and here's why. See, even though a lot of companies don't order their gifts until November, right now is when they're kind of gathering ideas into their basket, let's say. And if your idea, they're gonna go through this gathering mode, and then they're gonna go into decision mode. But if you don't get into that basket, when they change to their decision mode, you don't stand a chance. So you got to get on them right now. They're not going to. We get orders for the holidays already, but realistically, right now most customers are in the gathering mode. So you want to get out there, get into that basket, so that you have a really good chance of getting picked when they decide to make the decision.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And as the calendar turns to September, people think about fall, and this is when people really start thinking about. So you're right. You want to be there ahead of when all that decision making is happening.
Yeah.
Tom, I thought it was. Yeah. Now, Tom, I thought it was interesting. So on one of your slides, you mentioned that there's about 85% of when the work is done or when these sales come through. But what about the rest of the year? Are there some other events that maybe AIM distributors haven't thought of? I mean, I guess I think of Valentine's Day, but are there others that are that we should be considering?
Yeah. We get orders every day. In November we probably average 350 orders a day. In March we probably average 10 orders a day. But most orders from January through October are event-based orders. Somebody is having an event of some sort, and they want a gift to hand out at that event. And it may be anywhere from a chocolate, a $2 chocolate pretzel with a 4-color label on it that they want to hand out at a trade show, to a nicer gift that they want to put in the room when people arrive for a sales conference. But most non-holiday stuff is event related.
Gotcha. So yeah, it's absolutely a year-round thing that can want to remember and take advantage of. All right, Tom, thank you so very much for this presentation. It was excellent. The feedback has already been great. I can see that. So Tom Reardon from Maple Ridge Farms, thank you so very much for the time. We really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity.
You got it. And to our listeners, our AIM distributors, thank you as well for your time and attention. We invite you back here next week, again, 2 p.m. Eastern. Next Wednesday, we'll have Sea Star Promo and Charles River will be joining us. So look forward to having you back for that. And again, everyone, thank you so very much for your time, and have a good afternoon.